Hey, good morning there, fantasy football freaks. Hey, what's up? I know it's been a little bit since I've done the Tinker Stinker Power Hour since last season. Yeah, here we go. Week 2. I know, week 1 I was supposed to do it, and then a bunch of shit went wrong, including having a bit of a cold. Came down with the crud. My kids started kindergarten. You know how that goes. Send her off to kindergarten. Of course, day 1, she fucking comes back with a cold. Well, shut that thing up. Anyway, so a lot of things here, went wrong last week. But hey, here we are. We're here. It's all good. Good to see you all. Thank you for coming in. I'm going to wait just a second for some more people to pile in. I know I'm starting a little bit late. I want to make sure to get this out to people that want it and need the information to help you crush your league. That's what I'm here to do. So we got a lot of stuff on tap this morning. I'm going to light up the ceremonial, J. We're going to do a pour, a very special pour this morning. Kind of, bringing in more of a format here. Just kind of some traditional stuff, that sort of a thing. So anyway, let's get this lit up. Like I said, I'm waiting for a few more people to, pile in here. Get that link out to, the usual people that'll watch this stuff. Put this everywhere you can, get more people in here. We want people to pile in so I can help you all kill it this week. Because it's week 2. Week 1's crazy, right? All kinds of crazy shit going on in week 1. That's always how it is. Week 1's nuts. Always has been. All the people that we expect to do it don't do it, and all the people that we never even thought of are doing it. So now we're like, okay, are these the guys? And then it swaps in week 2. That's just usually how it goes. But I'm going to help you navigate all of that. So put your questions down there in the comments. I'm going to also go over my sleepers, my deep dives, a couple streaming defenses, a couple streaming kickers, that kind of thing. So the usual stuff. Go over injury reports, weather report, and everything that you need to know to make sure you start the right guys this week and get that big W. Yeah. Get the money, guys. Let's do it. All right. What do we got this morning? Richard Ybarra, good morning. How's it been since last year? It's been all right. Been up and down, That's life. But you know what? I'm feeling good this morning. I'm feeling good about this season. All right. I'm in like 27 leagues. And that's not even including Best Buy. All right. So it's hard to navigate all of that, but that's why I do it, so that I can get, different perspectives in different areas, so I can help you all out. But anyway, so been pretty good. How have you been, Richard? Hopefully you've been doing well. Seems like you have been. Don, what's up? Hey, good luck to you too. Oh yeah, that's me. Nicholas, good morning, Nick. Happy to be back in the hashtag Tyrant Gang. Yeah, you're damn right. Me too. Man, what's up? Cheers and happy 420. Hey, speaking of which, I got some skunk dog here. I'm going to light that up real quick, and then we're going to get started with the show. Remember, get people in here. Send this link out to everyone you can. For some reason, Sleeper was being weird, and I couldn't get the link out to every one of the pages there. It was just, shutting down. I had to postpone my show just to get the link out. But anyway, so thank you, Matt. Hashtag Tyrant Gang OG. Yeah, that's you. 100%. So here we go. Yeah. We got some questions rolling in here. Scott. What's up, Scott? Start Stephon Diggs or Jalen Warren. And we're going to get to those questions in just a minute. What's up, bro? Hey, what's up? It's our boy Vinny. What up, Vinny? Good to see you, man. We got Fannin of Loveland, Standard. Yes, it's garbage, but all the tight ends were gone. Yeah, I hear you. We're going to go over all of that. I'm going to answer those questions here in just a minute. We're just kind of getting rolling in here. I want to get the, good morning intro going. That gives time for people to come in and, settle in, get your questions ready, put them down there in the comments, and we'll be answering all of that. Erica, Tyrant Gang, what's up, Erica? Good to see you this morning. All right, so we got everyone rolling in. We're going to get started here. I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to kind of do it like I normally do. I'm going to do my intro. We're going to answer a few questions. I'm going to do the streamers and deep dives. answer a few more questions, go back and forth between the different segments. And by the end of this all, we're all going to be ready to crush our leagues. So let's do it this week. All right. So first of all, like I said, I got the skunk dog going here. Join me in this. I'm going to answer all your questions. I see them piling up there in the comments. Don't worry. I'm going to get to every single one of them. Bear with me here. We got the first big intro of the season, and I ain't fucking around on it. But so, I just want to say a real quick shout out to my hashtag Tyrant gang all over the world. Yeah. From the East Coast to the West Coast, from Peru to Sweden, from Australia to the Middle East. The sun never sets on the fantasy kingdom. Yeah, literally and figuratively. All right? Hey, glad you're all here. Before we get started, I want to do the ceremonial first pour. I ain't got the greatest beer in the world. It's PBR. Hey, for shit skunk ass piss beer, it's actually one of the better ones. So, we'll go with that. I want to take a drink of water here. But the old whistle, as they say. But pardon me. Like I said, I was just getting over a cold, so got a little cough going. So bear with me on that. But anyway, so I'm going to do a ceremonial first pour. So get your breakfast beers ready, or whatever you have to toast. I mean, maybe you got toast. I mean, just toast. That's all right. Get some jam on that shit. All right, let's do it. Put it up in the air. Raise it up. Yeah. Now today's ceremonial first pour, bear with me. I've got some notes here. Usually I don't get sentimental and shit, but hey, real quick, we're gonna do this because this is the first pour of the year and it's very important. All right. Hey, football, fantasy football in general, sports in general. All right, that's an escape from not only the monotony of life, but sometimes the horrors of life as well. But once in a while, something happens that transcends everything. And that makes it hard to ignore. Unfortunately, too many times it's something, horrific or tragic. And unfortunately, that's what we got here. The past Wednesday was rough. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Pair of tragedies, equally horrific. First off, you got the shooting at the Evergreen School in Colorado. 1 dead, 2 injured, but recovering. The shooter turned the gun on himself and didn't survive. Just sad story all around. Heart goes out to all the parents and, people that are dealing with that there in Colorado. I'm not going to get political with it, and things like that. But so I'm going to pour a little bit here for them. Okay. Pour a little for them. Okay. Now the rest of it, here we go. Listen. I'm going to get real with you guys, and we're going to get all the football stuff, but I want to get this out of the way. This is important, all right? And I don't care if you leave. I don't care if you're like, oh, I'm going to turn this guy off. This is important. This is matter. Some things matter a little bit more. So let's just get it out of the way, all right? And we're all feeling whatever you're feeling, okay? Listen, it doesn't matter what you thought or think about Charlie Kirk, the things that he said, the things that he did. If it looks like I'm reading, I do have this here. It's hard to really express this. I want to make sure that I get everything right. I don't care for like half the stuff he said, at least half. But when we start murdering people for expressing their opinions or celebrating said deaths and murders, even though a father lost his son, a wife lost her husband, and 2 little children lost their daddy. At that point, we're no longer separate from the animals. That's deplorable animalistic behavior. Can't believe it. It's just sad. And I don't care, again, if this dedication is making you leave the channel or whatever. It doesn't matter. Human stuff means more to me. I love football, I love fantasy football, but let's get that out of the way first. No one should be afraid to speak their mind. No one should fear their life just because they share an opinion. No one. I don't care who you are. That's not civilized behavior. We're human fucking beings, okay? This isn't a political conversation because this is an issue of humanities, not politics. And speaking of humanity, okay, seeing all the athletes out there, some celebrities, especially the NFL players, who a lot of them probably don't agree with most of what Charlie Kirk had to say, okay, coming out in support of his family and speaking out against the disgusting lowlifes. I'm not even going to dignify by calling human who are celebrating this tragedy. Yeah. Anyway, seeing all that support and unity is definitely encouraging. It's like a silver lining. I hope one day that we can all sort of glom onto that and become a country and world once again where we can express ourselves without fear of execution. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I dedicate the rest of this morning's pour to Charlie. All right, rest in peace, my man. His family, his kids, his poor kids. I'm a dad. It fucking pulls at my heartstrings, all right? And to all the men and women, including those in the NFL who stood in solidarity with them during this tragedy, all right? Hey, rest in peace, Charlie. And thanks to all of those being actual humans on this planet and living with love instead of hate. All right. To love, no more hate. Let's do this. To love, everyone. To the love of the world, to the love of people, to the love of our favorite game. Let's do it. Here we go. Pouring it out. I don't know if you're going to get some ASMR on that or what, but I don't give a shit. Got a terrible head on this beer, but you know what? There's worse things in the world, obviously. I'll let that settle. Hey, I'm going to take a little drink. It's all fizz. Anyway, sorry about that. So I just wanted to make sure we do that. So we're going to do a ceremonial pour and dedication every week. Like, that's just what we do. So anyway, enough with the sentimental showing of emotion. Let's talk football. Real quick, like I said, in case you're wondering, I'm smoking the skunk dog here. It's good stuff. All right. For those who are just coming in, which shows just getting started, put your questions down there in the comments, and we're going to get to them. Let's see what we got here real quick. I'm going to go through some of the questions we got now, and the good mornings and all that stuff. So I'm going to get the intros and good mornings out of the way, and then we're going to get to the questions, and then I'm going to get to my sleepers and all that. So let's start off here. What do we got? Vinny, what's a good luck this week? We face off in a few leagues. Yeah, we do, buddy. Yeah, I'd say good luck to you, but nah, bring all the luck to me. Nah, it's all right, man. May the best man win. Me. Anyway, Richard, I just got back from what my wife was saying to me. What's going on? Let's get to football, bro. I don't know. Yeah, we're there. Agreed, bro. Great statements. Cheers. Hey, cheers to you, buddy. Okay. Hey, for those of you just joining in, if you want to see the beginning of it, go ahead and rewind. Got some sentimental stuff off the chest there. Had to dedicate this, to the good people out there that aren't being stupid and shitty. We like that. So more awesome statement, says Nick. Cheers. Hey, cheers to you, pal. All right. There it is. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your politics are, okay? No one deserves to fucking be murdered for what they fucking believe in. That's ridiculous. All right. Erica Paps. Yeah, I know. PBR. I know. Hey, I was going to get out and get some other beer this week, but I just got busy with a lot of shit. So rest of his questions, let's get to those, and then I'm going to get to my sleepers, all right? So thank you so much for your patience and, and all of that. Scott, Stephon Diggs to Jalen Warren, PPR. I can't trust, and I'm going to be getting into this actually a little bit later when I talk about my sleepers. I can't, really trust the Patriots, wide receivers. It's really hard to tell who's going to be the guy, Is it going to be Stephon Diggs? I don't know. Is it going to be, Pop Douglas? Maybe, is it going to be Kayshawn? I don't know. Could be. But hey, instead of trying to figure that out, why don't you just start Jalen Warren this week? That would be my recommendation to you. The beginning of the season, in preseason, they were talking about wanting to get Warren some more touches, get him super involved in the offense. Everyone was really excited about Caleb Johnson, but they were telling us they're telling us, no, Jaylen Warren's the guy. Until he's not the guy, he's the guy. Pardon me. Last week he got a touchdown that made things look pretty good. The Jets are a better defense than we think. I think this week they got Seattle, who pretty well sucks against the run. The defense is not as elite as we thought maybe they were going to be coming in. But we've only seen them 1 week against the Niners, so But still, though, I think Jaylen Warren will have a good week this week. I like the matchup. It's a good matchup. They're at home against Seattle. Aaron Rodgers is better than a lot of people thought that he would be. See, that was what I was trying to tell everyone, was that, Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers is kind of the best thing for both of them. I don't, Russ didn't really work out there. Fields didn't really work out there. But, Aaron Rodgers is more of like the traditional pocket passing quarterback, which is, what the Steelers like. Go with that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel there in Pittsburgh. And look what happened. Great week for him last week. Kind of, shut up a lot of my naysayers who would tell me, oh, you can't be talking up DK or Calvin Austin. They're not going to do shit because Aaron Rodgers sucks, blah, 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 blah. Like, as if the grandma was going out there throwing the ball. Like, come on. I know that Rodgers is past his prime, but it's not like he fucking completely forgot how to play football. I know it kind of looked like that when he was on the Jets, but that's the Jets. Although, here's the weird thing, just kind of off that topic. How the hell did, of all people, how did the Jets unlock Justin Fields? What the fuck? Of all teams, it's the Jets who unlocked him? Jesus, weird shit. But anyway, I like Jaylen Warren this week. Good question. I'm going to give the nod to Jaylen Warren. He still catches passes. He's a pass-catching back. So, in PPR, that's still going to help out. Good question, though. Richard, what do you got here? You got Fannin or Loveland standard? Yes, it's garbage, but all tight ends are gone. It's tough. We don't know week to week who the tight ends are going to be. I got a good one for you. I want to talk to you about that a little bit later. If I'm going between the two of them, I'm going with Fannin. I mean, just because, he's I was big on Njoku coming in this season, kind of downplaying Fannin a little bit because a lot of times, tight ends take a little bit to work out. And I wasn't really putting him along with the other elite guys, but apparently they really love him and they're going to him. So, I know week one's screwy and it could just be like a weird fluky thing. Could be, but they're not really. I mean, but the Bears passing offense is who we thought they were. A lot of people are like, oh, they're going to be better this year. I'm like, I don't know, maybe by a little, but not by much. So, I think that like starting at this point, until we really see Loveland take over as the tight end for the Bears, I'm not really starting them at this point. So I'm going to go Fannin on that one. Good question, though. Got another one from Richard. Good call on sitting Terry and starting Ibuka. Hey, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. Hey, if you question my calls at all, I actually covered all of my calls last week, and I had an 80% accuracy rate. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. I'll take it. Christopher, what's up, my man? Stranger and Njoku today at rest of season. I'm going Strange. In fact, you're going to hear a little bit more about Strange later. Ooh, little foreshadowing. But, Brenton Strange coming into this season, a lot of us were stoked on him just because, he showed some flashes the end of the season last season, and I think that's continuing into this season. So, as strange as it may sound, I like Brenton Strange. And as strange as it may sound, and Njoku ain't doing stuff because, like I said before, Fannin's there. Now, they could be completely flipping the script on us, and now Njoku suddenly has a big week, and Fannin don't do shit. I don't know. I'm just saying. They're big on this kid. He's obviously talented. We saw it last week. Why would they all of a sudden, we'll go back with the old guy? Doesn't make any sense. So I'm taking Strange this week and rest of the season. Nick, Pearsall versus New Orleans or J-Mo versus Chicago. I love J-Mo. Love him. think he's going to have a great season this season. I think he's, this is his breakout year. I don't think he's going to be quite Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's going to be definitely pushing him for the top spot on that team. But here's the thing. The 49ers are, as we know, as usual, they're the top injured team for like the past 10 years. And that's not changing, apparently, because Kittle went out in game 1. We already have Ayuk out. And by we, I mean 49ers, because I am a Niners fan, as you know. So, it's my camaraderie with my fellow Niners fans. But, yeah, Kittle's out. That made 2 people leave? Well, you don't like the 49ers? Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so Kittle's out. Of course, we know Ayuk's out. Juwan Jennings banged up. He's really being, gone back to his old, third and Juwan, clutch guy. He's not a possession receiver so much. Well, I guess you would consider that maybe a possession receiver, but he's not. He's not. Actually, he is more of a possession receiver. Not really a downfield threat. He's not really, making like the huge plays. Just kind of like, third downs, clutch plays like that. The main dude, and I told everybody this coming in the season, a lot of analysts had Juwan Jennings ranked over Ricky Pearsall, and I was like, that's a mistake. Ricky Pearsall is the number 1 wide receiver on the Niners right now, and they're facing the complete shit New Orleans Aints. So I really like Pearsall this week. Chicago, just I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than we're used to with the Lions. So I like Pearsall, just a little bit of a JMO this week. Just this week. Good question, though. It's close, but I'm giving the nod to Pearsall. Let's see. What tight end do I need to start in standard? When I'm about to get to that, Richard. Bear with me just a minute. We're going to get there. It's going to be in my sleepers. I got a great sleeper candidate for you. Mooney or Boot, PPR. Mooney's a little banged up. But London's starting this week. And Pitts is getting more attention. And Bijan Robinson's there. There's, Pennick's doing his own thing. But and I'm going to be actually talking about people keep bringing up these guys. Like, I already got it. It's like you already know who I'm going to talk about. I'm going to get to Kayshawn here in a little bit, but if I have to choose, I'm going to go Mooney. I'm going to go Mooney. So long as he starts, he was doing some good things last season. I expect that to continue this season. He's supposedly healthy this week from what I've seen. I'll double check that when we get to the injury report. But from what I'm seeing, he's healthy. So, if he's going, I'm putting him in there. I think it's really close, though. I like Kayshawn Boot. So we'll get to that soon, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Mooney there. Just slightly. You really could go either way. Let's see, we got that. Okay. Matt, what's up? See my standard PPR. Wait, standard PPR flat. What's a standard PPR? What the fuck are you talking about? Standard PPR. No, I assume you just mean PPR. I've got Jay Warren. Should I roll with wide receivers, Pearsall, Hunter, Sutton? Okay, so you're talking about in your flex right now, you got Warren in there, but you're wondering if you should replace him with Pearsall, Hunter. I'm guessing you mean Travis Hunter or Sutton. That's a good, like, I feel like going Pearsall there. I feel like it, but maybe that's the Niners fan speaking. I would say Cortland Sutton, but excuse me. But I think the Colts defense is a little better than we think. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Sutton ain't going to do anything, but they're on the road. They're traveling from Denver to Indianapolis. They don't play as well on the road, and we all know that. Denver's a home team, the Mile High Stadium. They love the thin air. The air might be a little too thick there in Indianapolis for Sutton. I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, I think Warren will do well, but I do want to go with one of those wide receivers. I'm not trusting Hunter yet. I want to keep an eye on him. So for me, really, it's between Pearsall and Sutton. I'm going to give the slight edge to Sutton just because Brock Purdy's out. And while Mac Jones is serviceable, he's not Brock Purdy. There could be some struggles there. They could just completely rely on CMC in that game. And maybe some of the tight ends, and we'll talk about that too. So anyway, give me Sutton in that. Good, damn good question though. I mean, that's a tough one. Hunter Henry or Brenton Strange asked Scott. Yeah, that's another tough one. I would have said Hunter Henry, but then after kind of seeing what's going on last week, and I do still love Hunter Henry as kind of my tight end sleeper of the year, which is, again, my predictions from last week. Go check that out if you can. I have a post on my page for it, and where I analyze my picks there. Still love Hunter Henry, but I'm going to go with Brenton Strange this week. And again, giving it away, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about him and why here in just a minute. So go Brenton Strange on that one. Let's see. Erica, non-PPR flex. Jordan Mason, Swift, Allen, Jennings, Pitts. I'm guessing you want me to pick one of them. So non-PPR flex. I'm going to go with one of the running backs. Give me Jordan Mason. Yeah, they pretty much split the carries last week. Let me check this out real quick. Give me just a second. I'll make sure everybody. So, yeah, I mean, pretty much he had 15 rushing attempts last week against Chicago. He was only targeted once with one reception, but, he's essentially – they actually out-carried Aaron Jones 15-8. So, really, he's the 1A in this committee, if you consider it a committee. I think they're basically grooming Jordan Mason to be the guy. So against Atlanta, that's definitely a matchup he can have. So in non-PPR, I'm probably going Jordan Mason there. If it was PPR, I'd probably lean more toward Keenan Allen. Not Kyle Pitts, sorry. Yeah, Jordan Mason. There's my Swift, it's just, I don't know. The Bears, I wasn't a believer. Everyone else was like, oh, they're going to be better this year. I'm like, I don't believe it. 17 attempts, 53 yards. That's horse shit. I don't like that. Give me Jordan Mason in that one. Good question, though. You got another one here, looks like. PPR, wide receiver 2, Jacoby or Sutton. I'm going to go Sutton on this one. Bo Nix loves him. And he's like I said, if you didn't watch my top 50, I know it's, we're past that. It's still a very entertaining show. And I talk about Sutton and how he's like the Toyota Camry of wide receivers. Reliable, not going to make a bunch of noise, but he's going to get you from point A to point B. All right. I like Sutton over Jacoby just because I think, it looks like Bowers is going to play. All indications saying that he's going to play on Monday. It's not 100% decided, but if I'm going by, history and the way, coach speak and everything else, it seems to me like he's going to play. So, with him there, got Genty there. They're getting some to Thornton. Yeah, I just, the volume's not there for me. Okay. And let me look at something here. Actually, hold on. Oh, Jesus. Bear with me while I teach my computer some things. Yeah, last week he was targeted 10 times with 8 receptions, 97 yards. Pretty good. And I kind of told people, I told him last week I was starting him, and I definitely am starting him this week. I don't know if I'm starting him, over Sutton though. And that's, I mean, really, honestly, that's really close. That's really close between the two of them. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Sutton. The touchdown kind of made us weak a little bit, but doesn't mean he's not going to get another touchdown. He could, and I think he's more likely to than not, personally. So I'm going to give another slight edge to Sutton. Of course, if you're feeling Jacoby and you're like, I need to put him in. But I like Sutton a little bit more this week. And then in your flex here, you see you got Williams. I'm guessing you're talking about Javonte. If you're talking about Jameson, let me know. Wan'Dale Robinson, Charbonnet, or whoever you don't choose for a wide receiver too. So basically, at that point, then it's between Jacoby and, honestly, no matter which Williams you're talking about, that's the other choice there. See if you can clarify whether you're talking about Javonte Williams, or hold on, or JMO. Let me know. But either way, let's see. I'm definitely starting as PPR. I think I'm going to start Jay Williams. Regardless of which Jay Williams that is, you're starting Jay Williams. So, let me know though if it's Java or if it's JMO. So anyway, yeah, I like Jay Williams. Whichever Jay Williams it is, that's the one you're going with. Another, Jay Williams, Pittman, Cup, or Dunze. And this is a PPR. I'm going Pittman. Obviously, Daniel Jones has the connection with Pittman. Pittman is the wide receiver one on that team. The only reason we were taking Downs before is because both Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco were bigger fans of Downs than they were Pittman. But it looks like Pittman's the guy for Jones. So as long as Jones is the quarterback, I like Pittman. I've always been a fan of Pittman. I don't know, I don't know why they really went away from him. I love Jones or Downs. I keep calling him Jones. Downs as well. But, give me Michael Pittman in that one. Could be JMO if that's JMO. If it's Javonte, I'm definitely going Pittman. If it's JMO, it's a little bit closer. But I'm going to give the slight nod at least to Pittman, just because JMO could have a huge breakout game if it's JMO. He could have a huge breakout game, or not. But with Pittman, I think obviously Jones has established who his pecking order there, and Jones can be serviceable. I mean, especially in a decent matchup. So yeah, I think I'm going with Pittman on that one. Hold on, I'm just looking at a couple things here. Yeah. Now against the Broncos, I think at home, yeah, I like Pittman. You can talk about Patrick Surtain. Is that going to be a problem? I don't think he's going to necessarily be shadowing Pittman. So, I'm fine with that. Slight edge on Pittman. I mean, if it is okay, so she says Java. So then, yeah, I definitely want to go Pittman on that one. Just because, like, Javonte Williams ran in 2 touchdowns, I feel like that's a little fluky, don't you? Speaking of flukes, I'm going to get to that later. Got a little spiel about flukes. So anyway, I'm going over Java. I'm going Pittman, and feeling confident about it. All right, I know this is a boring kicker question, but Ryan Fairbairn or Boswell this week and rest of the season. I love me some Kaimi Fairbairn. Big Fairbairn fan. So there you go. I like Kaimi. You can never go wrong with Boswell. Boswell is, he's like the Toyota Camry of kickers. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Like I said, I was getting over a cold. Yeah, no, Fairbairn I like. It's barely over Boswell. You really could go with either of them, but I like Fairbairn. So, I mean, let's open that up a little bit more here. I mean, against Tampa Bay, yeah, it's not, I'm not afraid of them needing to throw, against them needing to score touchdowns. They'll score. They'll score touchdowns. They'll score field goals. I think Fairbairn's gonna get his. So definitely, I love Fairbairn rest of the season. He was actually my number 3 ranked kicker. And so if you sign up with me on Patreon, you get my rankings and everything. But I have him as my number 3 ranked kicker for a reason. Love him. All right, Luis. Wait a second, real quick. Who is a pick for we? Who is a good snag off waivers for week 3 defense? Hey, I'll trust me, I'm getting there. We got a lot of questions here, but I'm going to get through them, and then I'm going to go through my sleepers. I'm going to give you my streaming defenses as well. All right, so non-flex, non-PPR flex, Ramondre Stevenson, Cooper Kupp, or Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm going Cooper Kupp. Easy as that. I don't trust Juju or anyone. I mean, Hollywood Brown's probably the only one that I trust in on the Chiefs right now, as far as wide receivers go. Without Worthy there, without Rashee Rice, that's the only guy I really trust. It's him and Kelsey. That's it. So I'm not big on Juju. He could have a good game, but he could just fall completely off. I think Cooper Kupp, obviously he's not the guy we thought he was, or not we thought he was. He's not the guy he used to be. I'm half the man I used to be. So I got some Scott Weiland in there for you, right? Stone Double Pilots, yeah. Anyway, no, he didn't have a good showing last week. I think he's going to bounce back, though. Although Ramondre Stevenson, non-PPR. Let me look at something, because I might go Stevenson. I just realized that it's non-PPR. Sorry about that. I don't know. Stevenson ain't getting shit either. I think they're going to go more with Trevion Henderson, even more so than before. Can't trust Juju. That's not. I don't like any of them, but if I got to choose one, gun to my head, I'm going with Kupp. We'll talk about defenses in just a moment. Dunze or Jason Mason. Jason Mason. Who the fuck is Jason Mason? I guess you're talking Jordan Mason. Yeah. Go with in PPR. Even I'm liking Jordan Mason. He's, if they're gonna treat him like the number 1 back, I'm not going away from him. Honestly, the dude is a special talent. I've been talking about him for a few years, way before any other analyst was, because I am a 49ers fan. So, of course, I had the inside 49ers information. But I love Jordan Mason. It's working out. I think that he's going to be the guy. I think he's going to be the guy there faster than I thought he was in the beginning of the season after what we saw week 1, over Aaron Jones. So, I love Jordan Mason. I think I'm going that. Think Bowers is playing Monday? Yeah, I do. From what I'm hearing, unless we hear something different, that's what I'm going with. Bo Nix or Drake May. I'm sticking with Bo Nix, man. Nix, he can get it done with legs. He's got the talents there. It's going to be a tougher matchup, in one aspect, but in another way, I think, with one game sort of behind him under his belt, I think he's, we're seeing this is the week 2 effect. All right. They've had their opening game. That's that. But I think we're going to see a little bit better offense out of Pats defense or Eagles. Pats defense isn't bad. That's not a bad. I almost consider them for streaming defenses this week, actually. In fact, if I did a third one, they would have been it. But I didn't because, and I'll get to that. But against Kansas City, Philadelphia, I don't know, man. I don't know. They couldn't get it done against Dallas. I don't think they're going to get it done against Kansas City. actually going to take the Pats defense over the Eagles this week. I know it sounds crazy, but I think the Pats have a really good matchup because Miami, it doesn't look like. I mean, even like Tua doesn't have a concussion, but he may as well. Jeez, it's rough going there in Miami. I like New England this week. I'm sorry to say it. Sorry, yes, PPR, Jay Warren, and G Swift. Yeah, Warren. I already answered that. Java says Eric. Okay, yeah. It's Jamal Williams. Oh, jeez. Yeah, right. Ingram or Strange. I like Strange, but I'm not starting him over Ingram until, we see for sure that Ingram's not going to be used. I've got to stick with him at least for week 2. Keon or Ridley, asks Christopher. I like Keon Coleman. I think that he's sort of been chosen as the guy there for the Bills. So Ridley is kind of the guy for the Titans, but Cam Ward looked like shit. So I'm going to go Keon on this one. Scott Pittman Jr., Diggs or Jawan. I'm going Pittman. So I'm trying to get through this because I got some other stuff to get to here. So I figure I'd get this out of the way for you guys. But I already kind of talked about earlier why I like Pittman and why Diggs I'm kind of down on because just, you can't trust people in Patriots offense from the wide receiver perspective. They just never know who's the guy is going to be. Jawan, like I said, he's been relegated to being the, third down clutch guy again. And I think that sticks this week. McMillan or Harrison, Tet or Marv. That's funny. It's a good question because it's like I had a whole debate with the guy about, about doing trades involving those guys. Actually, let's see. I'll look at something real quick. I like both of them. I think Marv has taken a step up this season. I think we saw a little bit of that last week. He scored 15.6 fantasy points and half-point PPR. Even better in PPR, of course. He's 6 targets, 5 receptions. This week they got Carolina, which is another gimme matchup, just like they had New Orleans last week. Got another good matchup for them again. Tet, I'm a huge fan of. He's going to take a little bit to make his way in here. So you got 2 guys on either side of the ball and in the same game. It's in Arizona, though. I'm going to give the slight nod to Marv until we see Tet blow it up. He's more of a flex for me, whereas Marv is a solid wide receiver 3. Okay, so just barely. I like Marv in that one. DraftKings stack, Mac Jones, CMC, and Pearsall. Thoughts? I think that's bad because I think that's all who's going to be scoring points in that game for the Niners. So that's actually pretty good, Paul. Good little stack there. Pretty cheap on Mac Jones, I'm sure. You save up, you get CMC, and then you get Pearsall in there. It was going to be cheap compared to what he's going to score. So I like that. I'm starting Sutton over Hollywood. That's not crazy, right? I'm just overthinking. It's not crazy. It's really close between the two because of what we saw, with Hollywood. Although the Chiefs, as we know, they're not consistent unless it's Worthy or Rashee Rice. They're not really, or Kelsey. They're not really consistent with who the pass catching or who the top receiver is going to be there. So if I have to, choose between the two, I'm going Sutton for sure. Hollywood or Myers standard. Jacoby, give me Jacoby Myers this week just because it's a more solid pick. It doesn't mean Hollywood ain't going to do shit. I think that he will, but give me a slight edge to Myers because, besides Brock Bowers, who else is Geno going to throw to? Anyway. So there you go. That covers the questions. If you've got more questions, put them down there. But right now, I'm going to go over to my streamers and defenses. We're going to talk about injury. We're going to look over the injury report or the weather report real quick, and then we're going to get out of here because I got to set lineups. You got to set lineups. Hey, we got to win this shit. So let's get to it. I'm gonna try to bowl through this. Here's my sleepers and deep dives this week at running back. I got Kareem Hunt. Now you all know I'm not a huge fan of this guy. Not just because of his violent past, but because the Chiefs insist on using him in a split with Isaiah Pacheco, despite the fact that Pacheco is younger, faster, and more efficient. Last week, both backs had 5 rushes. Hunt going for 16 yards, Pacheco going for 25. Gee, what number is more? I like Pacheco. I don't know why they won't go with him. This is the same argument I had last year. And I thought maybe Andy Reid would figure something out between now and then, and that their best bet is starting going with the young speedster. For some reason, they keep giving the rock to the far less efficient Hunt. Not sure why. So I guess we can lean into this a little bit here. Hunt will tend to get used more in the pass game, and without Xavier Worthy or Rashid Rice there, Mahomes will be passing the ball around to everyone in sight, like he's passing around a blunt at Burning Man. Hunt's going to benefit from this as well. And this week, they face the Eagles, who just made Java Williams look like Emmett fucking Smith. All right, and it's a bit of an exaggeration, okay? But you get my point. Might be a good week to start both Chiefs backs, but Hunt is cheaper, and on DFS he can be found, he's cheaper on DFS and he can be found on waivers in 75% of leagues. So if you're desperate and need a move, that's your guy. As far as a bonus, not really much of a bonus pick here for you. I'm curious to see, though, what the split between Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier looks like. Bijan only outcarried Algier, Bijan only outcarried Algier by 2 carries last week. Although Bijan also caught 6 balls off 7 targets for 100 yards and a touchdown, and Algier had 0 targets week 1. So I'm not saying this is a split. Obviously, Bijan's the guy. But the Falcons do continue to use both backs. Something to keep an eye on. Let's go to wide receiver, where I got Keyshawn Boot. Yeah. Surprisingly, this guy was the second most targeted wide receiver on the Patriots last season, second only to Pop Douglas. Much of that was thanks to his performances over the last few weeks of the season, when he was the wide receiver 16 over the last 3 weeks. Yeah, pretty good. I started including him, in my top 200 rankings more and more as the preseason progressed, just because of things I was hearing from the coaching staff, a lot of buzz there. Not a lot of the analysts had this guy included in their rankings. He's been under the radar, and he's only owned at 27% of Yahoo leagues. Last week, though, he was the highest targeted wide receiver by Drake May, tying Hunter Henry for the most targets on the team in week 1. See, all right, so check this out. Matt Harmon, if you don't know who he is, he's an analyst. He's been working different places. I think he's in Yahoo now. He came up and he called this a fluke. What? with the way that this dude ended last season and the way he's starting this season, I'm not sure Mr. Reception Perception has the right perception here, as that doesn't seem like a fluke to me. Like Kevin Malone said on The Office, a fluke is the most common fish in the sea. All right, I'm not sure how that really helps my argument here, but actually, I don't know. Office was a great show, though. Anyway, so Anyway, I know that trusting a specific Pats wide receiver to produce is like trusting a chimpanzee with your stock portfolio. Who the fuck am I? Jim Cramer? Buy, sell. You remember when I was doing that? Like my first, couple seasons, I had that show, the buy and sell show, where I, put the tie on and the whole thing. If you remember that, let me know. Only old school people remember that one, and one day I'll bring that stuff back. But anyway, so unlike Matt Harmon, I'm buying Keyshawn Boot to be somewhat consistent target for Drake May. And this week, they get a Dolphins defense that let the Colts score on them at will. So it could be a great chance for Drake May to go off with a seemingly favorite target at this point, Keyshawn Boot. Starting him as a flex in deep leagues, maybe some guillotines depending on my flex spot. And I love him as a DFS bargain. He's only $4,500 in DraftKings. So, get him where you can. As a bonus, if the Browns forgive Cedric Tillman for his drop at the end of the game last week, he could be a sneaky play this week. Last week, he had the exact number of targets and catches as Jerry Jeudy, 8 targets for 5 catches, tying him as the top wide receiver target on the week for Joe Flacco. Tillman outproduced Jeudy by scoring a touchdown against the Bengals. This week, they get another offensive juggernaut that they're going to need to play catch-up with. The Ravens were carved up by Josh Allen last week, and Flacco ain't Allen, but it is a Joe Flacco revenge game. You got to get that narrative in there. It's a division rival, and there's likely to be a lot of scoring. There you go. There's 3 reasons right there why I like, starting Cedric Tillman. Harold Fannin comes back down to earth this week, I think, and lets Jeudy and Tillman do their stuff. Cedric is a cheap DraftKings option and a flex option for deep leagues. There you go. At QB, this week streaming. If you're streaming QB, Geno Smith's not a bad play. It feels dirty to recommend Smith, but I can't ignore the fact that he was serviceable in his Raiders debut, putting up high-end QB2 numbers against a pretty good Pats D. This week, he gets the Chargers, who are far better against the run than they are the pass. So, it's a division rival. The intensity is going to be turned up for this one. And we see Geno knocking on QB1 numbers Monday night, all right, especially if Brock Bowers plays, and it looks like he is. So, Geno completed over 70% of his passes for a whopping 362 yards and a touchdown last week. He seems comfortable in the Raiders' offense already. Never thought I'd say that about a quarterback. Jesus. With the plus matchup this week, I think that there's going to be likely more scoring. Geno Smith is a solid QB2 option who could dance with some QB1 upside. Brock Purdy owners, in deep leagues, take notice. So anyway, getting the tight end, as I was talking about before, the foreshadowing from before, I like Brenton Strange. Now, this is a guy who's a breakout candidate at tight end this year, and I was talking about that a lot in the preseason. He started flashing some chops. Well, let me try that again. He started flashing some chops in the later portion of last season and is expected to take another step up this year. Yeah, his ceiling's capped by his QB being Trevor Lawrence, but T-Law does have his good games now and then, and this could be a good one for him, as the Bengals defense is as bad as usual. And last week, they let a rookie tight end go off on him, and Harold Fannin, with a QB that isn't much better than T-Law, if at all, really. Who's better, Flacco or T-Law? I don't know. It depends on the week. Last week, though, Strange caught 4 balls and 4 targets for 59 yards against an improved Panthers defense, pass defense. So against the Bengals' permissive defense, he could go for something like 6 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown, somewhere like that. Looking for a plug-and-play replacement for Kittle, Brenton Strange could float with tight end 1 numbers. Float you by. Anyway, hey, you know what? Stranger things have happened. You want another tight end? Well, check this out, because here's my double deep danger dive of the week. Yeah. Last week, this was Calvin Austin, and he killed it. So let's keep it rolling. This week, we're going to do it again. And this time, I'm talking about a tight end. Pure DFS magic here, all right? We're talking about someone who's owning less than 1% of fantasy leagues and will cost you only $3,500 to play him on DraftKings. All right, here we go. George Kittle is out for the Niners. Now, before you go talking about Jeff Tonges, or as my buddy Ryko and I call him, Tongus, like those AM/PM commercials with the too much good stuff monster, Tongus. Hey, it's Tongus. So that's what we've been calling him. But anyway, that's my nickname for him. Anyway, you should note that he's actually the 3rd string tight end on this team. Yeah. I think that, and actually Luke Farrell's the one that played 44 offensive snaps. The Tonjes is 28. Farrell's considered the better blocking tight end, which is why he's been on more snaps. And snaps equal opportunities, especially in a depleted Niners offense, which has a lot of tight ends, plays in their playbook. So with the pass catchers narrowed down to CMC, Ricky Pearsall, and a banged-up Juwan Jennings, and a cast of flunkies, Luke Farrell could have one of those, kind of 4 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown sort of games, knocking on the door of tight end 1. Could happen out of nowhere. Less than 1% owned. It says 0% owned, but I'm sure there's probably people that own them on Yahoo. Now, Tonjes was a fluke. If anyone was a fluke last week, it was Tonjes, okay? And I think that this week, while everyone's zigging to Tonjes, you can zag to Farrell. If you need a replacement for Kittle this week in a deeper league or a DFS punt, hey, look no further. There you go. Now we're going to go with the streaming defenses, and then I'm going to get back to the last questions there, go over injury report and weather report real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. All right? Dallas Cowboys are my number 1 streaming defense. Yeah, they're much lower in my rankings since trading Micah Parsons to the Packers, but this week they got a juicy matchup against the New York Midgets. Yeah, sorry. I ain't calling them the Giants because there's nothing about this team that's giant other than, Malik Neighbors or the lost column. That's it. That's all that's giant about them. So, last week I recommended one of the worst defenses in the league, the Commanders, because they faced off against the not-so-G men, and that paid off for anyone that's listened. And I started them in a lot of leagues, and that paid off for me. Dallas has a slightly better defense, so this play should pay off too. Only 34% owned, so they should be available in your league. And if they're not, then go with the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, here's a team defense that's been serviceable at least, if not pretty good on a matchup basis over the past few years, but always seems to find themselves under the radar. Rarely owned in more than 50% of the leagues. And this year, they start off as being only owned in 1% of leagues. That's crazy, especially considering, what they did last week. Now, they faced the Dolphins, who are usually a hell of a lot better on offense. And maybe their defense, the Colts defense, had something to do with that. I got in an argument with someone about that. They thought I was crazy for saying that. But if you look at the statistics, year after year, the Colts defense is always better than they're ranked. Not sure why. I have them ranked a little bit higher than a lot of other people, but maybe not high enough. This week, though, I think that they've, it's a good matchup for them against the Dolphins. Dolphins aren't looking great. The Colts were the second highest scoring defense last week in standard scoring, and this week they get a Denver Broncos team that struggled a little bit more in week 1 than we thought they would against the Titans. So against Indy, on the road, considering, they let the Titans hit top 10 in defenses last week in their own house. This is a matchup that can be had. So if you can't pick up the Cowboys, I actually like the Colts. All right, let's move on to kickers. Daniel Carlson, year after year, the Raiders have one of the top scoring fantasy kickers in the league. Usually they're top 10. They have a top 10 kicker. Deja vu all over again. Here we go. Another top 10 performance in week 1 against the Pats. And this week that they got the Chargers. So that's going to generate more scoring, more opportunities for Carlson. All right. Go get him and hang on to him. Another guy that's owned. This guy's owned in less than 1% of leagues, or he's owned in 1% of leagues. Why the fuck is Matt Prater only owned in 1% of leagues? He's the new kicker for the Buffalo Bills, one of the highest scoring teams in the league. It's like Tyler Bass, but more accurate and better kicker. He scored 12 fantasy points this past week, and the Bills face the Jets this week. So expect more of the same. Another guy that you want to pick up and hold on to. One of those guys is going to be available, all right? So pick up one of them and keep them. You don't even have to fuck around streaming because both of those guys are going to be top kickers throughout the rest of the season. So anyway, there you go. There's my streamers and my defenses and kickers. Let's go back to the questions, and then we'll get out of here soon. Let's see. Right. Swift or Kamara standard? It's Kamara, 100%. I'm not even going to go into it. We know. Let's go Trey Tucker. It could be. But I think it's one of those week 1 flukes. I think we go back to Jacoby a little bit more. I think we see Bowers a little bit. Now, if Bowers is out, yeah, Trey Tucker. But I think Bowers is playing. All right, defense, week 2, 49ers or Cardinals. I'm going with Niners against New Orleans. You kidding me? Hell yeah. 100% Niners. I see you got the Colts there. That's a good pick as well, but I'm going to go with the Niners over all the rest of them. Warren or Laporta. PPR, I'm going to go Laporta. Warren could be one of those week 1 things. Could be a superstar. We know that he's a superstar guy, but are Colts really going to just keep going to him like that? I don't know. It remains to be seen. It's hard for me to trust Danny Dimes targets outside of Pittman. So, and Laporta, like I said, it was a sophomore slump last year. He's out of the slump now. Looked good last week. I'm going to roll with them. Okay. Especially in a matchup where we should see more scoring this week. Last week, Jared was Goffle. This week, I think Jared's going to be Goffsome. All right, there you go. You said Fannin over Loveland and Standard. Yes, I did. Are you worried about Hawk? People think he's cooked, but I like him still. So do I. I don't know why people are, cooked on him. I think with especially with Addison out. Yeah, especially. I don't think he's cooked yet. Let's see. Last week, look at it here. All right. Yeah, I know. Last week he didn't have a good week. Only 4 targets, 3 receptions, 15 yards. But that's against Chicago. Okay. They know how to defend the tight ends. That's been a thing for them for a while. I think this is a tough week for him too against Atlanta. If you've got other options to start over Hawkinson, heck, I'm taking Brenton Strange. I will start Brenton Strange over TJ Hawkinson this week. All right. But then next week, he's got Cincinnati. I don't think he's cooked. I just think he's starting off the season with a couple of bad bad matchups for them. That's all. Would you play Cowboys over the Steelers this week? No, I would not. Steelers are going to be a top 5 defense pretty much most every week, except for in matchups where they're facing like a top flight offense. This week they got Seattle, which is definitely not a top flight offense. So I'm going the Steelers D. I know you're a Seahawks fan, but I like Steelers D. Thanks for the advice, bro. Great times on the first Tinker, whatever. You call what you want. Good luck and see you all next week. Yeah, I'll see you next week, Matt. Good luck with you. You like Tyler Loop or Carlson for the kickers? I like Carlson. Until I see consistency from Loop, I got to see him in a few games first. Put it that way. And Carlson's been consistent, so I like him. Week 3 defense, Seattle versus New Orleans or Colts versus Tennessee. First of all, Seattle doesn't play New Orleans. So, week 3 defense. I'm sorry. You're already preparing for next week. Oh, did I fuck that up earlier? No, maybe I didn't. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, you did mention something about defense week 3. Seattle over. Okay, so the Colts. Let's see what they do this week. If I were to gun to my head, have to pick one of them, I like the Colts against Tennessee. I think Seattle's just not as good a defense as a lot of people thought they were going to be. All right, last question here. San Francisco or Denver on defense? I'm sticking with Denver Broncos. You're playing the Denver Broncos defense every damn week that you have them. As long as you have them, and they're not on a bye, that's your top defense. You're not sitting them. You're not trading them. You're not benching them or dropping them to the waiver wire. When they're on their bye week, you get a second defense. It's the only few times that happens, unless between now and then they drop off. But no, I like Denver. Good questions, guys. Hey, thanks so much. Real quick though, I want to look over some injuries. Like I said, it looks like Brock Bowers is playing. We know Brock Purdy's going to be out. Judkins is. It looks like he's going to make his debut. So that's good. Godwin's still out. Worthy's out. Juwan Jennings is going to play, but I think he's going to be a little bit limited. So I really like Pearsall. They just picked up Kendrick Bourne. That might be interesting. Christian Kirk looks like he's out. Darnell Mooney, he's officially off the injury report, so he's good to go. Brock Bowers is still questionable, but all reports say, Pete Carroll says that he looks terrific. If he says he looks terrific and he doesn't start, Pete Carroll can go fuck himself, honestly. We know Kittle's going to be out. Give you the recommendation there. Dallas Goedert is out. Likely is out. Waller's still out. So, a lot of tight ends out. So, Brenton Strange, pick him up if you can. Falcons kicker will not be kicking this week. They're going to go with Parker Romo. Parker Romo, who the fuck is that? It's like Tony Romo's son or something. Is he a kicker? Or maybe it's just Tony Romo in disguise. No, my name's Parker. Anyway. So that's it, for that. As far as the weather goes, you got a little bit of rain going on in the Titans game. Rams-Titans game. Not too worried about that. You get a slight chance of thunderstorms with Patriots-Dolphins. You're going to get that this time of year in Florida, right? So I'm not really too worried. Slight chance of rain showers, Bills and Jets. Again, not too concerned about that. So anyway, there you go. Not a lot of bad weather this week. A little bit better this week than it was last week. So, hey, there we go. I got 15 minutes to set my leagues. Jesus damn. Anyway, hey, thank you all so much for showing up this week. Shout out to you all. Real quick, of course, last second, my buddy Reichel comes in with a question. Every fucking week he comes in 3 minutes before I have to fucking, before the game start, asking me all kinds of questions like I'm not setting my fucking lineups. Reichel, love you, buddy. Jalen Warren or Hollywood Brown. In standard, especially, I'm going Holly or Warren. If it's PPR, it's a little closer. But until I see it consistently every week with Hollywood Brown, I'm going to go with Jalen Warren. Yeah, Michael. Anyway, hey, thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm going to be back again next week for your Tinker Stinker Power Hour in week 3. So, good luck to you all, everyone. If you need more advice, hit me up on Patreon. Sign up with me. The link is there in the description. $5 a month. You get unlimited one-on-one advice from the best guru in the game. Yeah. All right. Love you all. Peace out this week. Hey, good luck, like I said. And we're going to have a better week next week. And overall. And then, yeah. So next Sunday, I'll see you then. Until then, I'm out. Peace.